Hello, culture vultures and history hounds. I'm in my second home today, the UK, in lovely London. It's so sunny today. All my friends in the UK are telling me this is not the norm, but I'm so lucky. It reminds me a bit of Malta, but much cooler, which is great because things are about to get very hot today. Officially, I'm here to relax for the shopping, to take a break from guiding. That's the narrative I gave my wife. In reality, I'm here because I'm having a steamy affair. With history, of course. I'm here, number one, to visit the Greenwich Maritime Museum, of course. There is a pirate exhibition there. I'm specifically going there for this pirate exhibition. Of course. And number two, I'm hunting a gate. But not just any gate. I'm hunting St. John's Gate. Yes. The clue is in the name, St. John. Belonging to the same Knights of St. John. So why should I care about some old knights and their fancy gate drama? Because these are the same Knights of St. John, aka 𝙘𝙤𝙅𝙘𝙤 𝙤𝙤, aka the Knights of Malta. Yes, the same knights who build those incredible fortifications of monstrous defenses, which you will see on my island of Malta. The same military geniuses who turned my little rock into the coolest military fortress in the whole Mediterranean. Till our friends the British came and later on also turned Malta into the most important naval base in the whole Mediterranean and an impregnable fortress. Also, don't snitch, but I'm also meeting two ex-guests of mine who traveled to Malta from London, and they did a Valletta tour with me, my nightly secrets, and let's just say we kicked it off so well that they actually offered to give me a private tour themselves about the Templars in London. Oh yes, whilst my wife thinks I am buying her some handbag, I am plotting medieval mayhem. So, join me as I go to uncover the secrets of St. John's Gate in Clerkenwell to find out what's so special about this gate, and also the connection between the Knights of St. John and lovely London. Whilst the Knights Templars, the more famous Knights Templars, they're hogging all the Hollywood movies, getting all the likes on Instagram and going viral on TikTok, their cousins, so to speak, the Knights of St. John, are just as powerful, even though they are so outshined. They are seen more like healers, healthcare guys, the hospitalers, not the finance fighting guys like the Templars. However, hovering in the shadows does have its benefits. As the saying goes, stay too close to the sun and you get burnt. Your wings get burnt, just like Icarus, just like the Templars get burnt, pun intended. However, the Knights of St. John, they played it smart, they were not touched, and actually they got a pretty good deal from the suppression of the Templars, because the Pope gifted the lands of the Templars all to the Knights of St. John. Imagine all those lands now belong to the Knights of St. John. They literally hit the lottery ticket with the Templars being destroyed. And life is great, until it isn't. Speaking of lands, I'm in Clerkenwell, right in the heart of London today. Back then, these lands, the Priory of the Order of St. John, as you can see, the 8-pointed cross just above you, well, they were a bit on the outskirts of the capital city back then. Lovely, isn't it? You see, the UK were always active crusaders, and the Order of St. John back then, they asked Henry II, yes, lots of Henrys in these episodes, they asked him to help them fight in the Holy Land. However, the king's counselors told him, forget about it, we've got our own problems here, forget about it. And just 2 years later, Jerusalem was lost to Saladin. Despite their setback in the Holy Lands, because as you know, Saladin, at the Battle of Hattin, he ordered that all Knights of St. John and the Templars are executed. Of course, he didn't want them coming back to fight him, so he decided to rid himself of these holy warriors. On the other hand, on the bright side of life, as you can see over here, in Clerkenwell, London, the Knights of St. John do pretty well over here. And despite being a religious order, the Knights of St. John decide to get themselves involved in local politics, knee-deep. Not always the best of ideas. Indeed, European kings begin to employ the heads of these various branches as ministers. Case in point, in 1380, an English Knight of St. John, hero of the Alexandria campaign and prior of the English branch, the Knight Fra Robert Hales, becomes King Richard II's treasurer. However, let's not all cry for joy for Fra Robert, because Fra Robert became more famous for the absolute disaster that is about to follow soon. Follow me, quickly. Being at war with France, the English decided, you know what we need more? More taxes. Spoiler alert. It didn't really go down that well. It was Fra Robert's job to collect the dreaded poll tax. Not rocket science there, of course. Not many peasants wanted to pay that extra poll tax. So they quickly started to call Fra Robert, "Hob the robber, hob 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 the robber." I think it's pretty cool, but I'm not sure Fra Robert would have agreed with me. And so, after more or less just 1 year in government, Fra Robert's tax collectors, with their hard-handed measures, provoke the famous 1381 Peasants' Revolt. And I think we better say some prayers for Clerkenwell and Fra Robert. You're about to find out why. With Fra Robert also being a Knight of St. John, apart from the treasurer, well, all of a sudden, the Knights Hospitallers are also game. Their lands are also target. Case in point, one of the most famous lands targeted by the peasants was the Cressing Temple, which, ironically, originally was the Templars' lands, which the Knights of St. John took over. Actually, it was given to them by the Pope. It was burnt, destroyed, and also the lands over here, Clerkenwell, was also destroyed and burned to the ground after, of course, they pillaged all the loot and everything of value the peasants could find. Thank you, Robert. However, burning Clerkenwell is not enough. The mob, they're out for blood. They're screaming, "Fra Robert," or probably more, "Hob the robber, hob the robber." And let's just say, whilst London Bridge is not going to be falling down anytime soon, Fra Robert's time and power is. After burning Clerkenwell, the mob rush to the Tower of London, where Fra Robert and the Archbishop of Canterbury are hiding right inside the White Tower. To be precise, inside the chapel of St. John the Evangelist, not St. John the Baptist. Wrong saint. He's not gonna help Fra Robert. Off we go for Fra Robert. Let's go. Let's cross the bridge. Come on, follow me. So Fra Robert and the Archbishop, they, like rats, try to sneak out from a door somewhere over there in front of you, somewhere in the Tower of London, that had access to the same river, Thames. Although I think the rats would have had it better. Fra Robert's head is cut off and stuck on a pole. Just like the Archbishop, although I hope for Fra Robert it ended quicker. It took apparently eight strokes of a sword to chop off his head. By the way, Fra Robert was not the only Knight Hospitaller to get involved in politics and on the wrong side. As you can see over here, another prior of St. John was also executed during the War of the Roses. However, the Knights of St. John, once again, and as they always do, like the proverbial phoenix, they rise out of the ashes. Until once again, danger lurks on the horizon. Never a dull day in the life of a Knight of St. John. So, Fra Robert is no more, but is it the end of the Knights of St. John in the UK? The Priory does take its sweet time recovering, but fast forward to the Tudors, and now we have a new prior. Enter Sir Thomas Dockwra, the new Grand Prior of Clerkenwell. Sir Thomas is a hero and battle-hardened stud from the Siege of Rhodes, the one of 1480, because back then, before Malta was their HQ, the island of Rhodes was the Knights' main base. And it is Dockwra who restores Clerkenwell Priory to a grand scale. In fact, just above you, you can see the coat of arms of Sir Thomas Dockwra and a plaque saying it's, well, Sir Thomas Dockwra. The plaque records that more or less Clerkenwell Priory was rebuilt during his time. Charismatic as hell, he becomes chummy best friends with Henry VII. Oh yes, they become as thick as thieves, so much so that Henry VII actually stays here for a while in 1508. Not bad, having the king staying at your priory. Henry deploys Dockwra as his royal ambassador. Not bad. And also, in return, acting as his royal wingman, Dockwra helps Henry receive the title of Protector of the Order from the Pope. I'm in front of Thomas's Tower, Tower of Thomas. Not Thomas Dockwra, of course. He's still, let's just say, in the good books. And there, another Thomas, a very unfortunate Thomas, was locked up. Because right now, life is still peachy. Even though Henry VII is no longer his son who succeeds him. You know, Henry VIII. Yes, the Henry VIII. The Henry VIII who, you know, had more wives than I have two roots. He comes into power, but life is still great with Thomas Dockwra. They're still chummy. Oh yes, he accompanies Henry VIII to meet King Francis I of France in 1520 on a very important mission. At an event known as the Field of the Cloth of Gold, where France and England are trying to kiss up, make up, and never ever fight again. Definitely gonna work, I'm sure. Definitely gonna work. They're the best of pals. Well, let's see if this meets your definition of the criteria needed to be a best friend. Henry refuses to allow Dockwra to travel on the order's business, to whom actually he is officially sworn to first. He is a religious member of the Order of St. John, the prior. But Henry VIII doesn't let him visit or travel on the order's business, just in case the crown needs a quickie favor. Bit of a red flag, don't you think? Bit of a one-sided relationship. And life is great until it isn't. Disaster strikes once again. After a bloody siege, the Knights lose Rhodes. It's an absolute disaster on all accounts, but especially politically. The Knights lose their credibility, so to speak. What? The defenders of the Christian faith? They've lost Rhodes as well now? Oh my God, what's going on with these Knights? Huh? What's their purpose? They've lost the Holy Land, they've been kicked out of Rhodes. I mean, come on. And so with the loss of Rhodes, the vultures start to hover. Doesn't take long till trouble brews in the UK. Watch your step, we're at Traitor's Gate. Interesting times we live in, as the best of friends become the worst of enemies and heroes become traitors. And once again we've got King Henry, who starts to show his true colors. And it all boils down in 1527. Whilst Dockwra is seriously ill, he's dying, Henry in the meantime is making plans. And not of sending him a good doctor, but actually Henry is planning to take all his lands and possessions when he dies. Another red flag, mind you. The order quickly scrambles to appoint another head ASAP, Sir William Western, also a hero of the Great Siege of Rhodes, this time of the 1522 siege. And William takes over fast after 𝙁𝙗𝙗 dies and is buried in Clerkenwell. Except we have a problem. You see, unlike 𝙁𝙗𝙗, Henry VIII doesn't like William Weston at all. And he refuses to accept William as the English prior. Let's just say it's only until Weston agrees to, no surprise here, gift Henry a yearly tribute is he accepted. Henry VIII, however, has different plans. Guys, you're Knights of St. John, you English knights, I mean, you've lost roads now, you've got no purpose in life. But I have a plan for you, I have an idea for you. How about you take a boat down the River Thames and go to France? Oh yes, go to France. It's quite nice weather over there. How about you garrison my fortress in Calais? Yes. How about you go to Calais and help me defend it against the French? Eh? What do you think? Yes, actually, that's what we'll do. We'll send you English knights to Calais. You'll garrison Calais for me. Don't worry about all your lands and gold over here in Clerkenwell and whatnot. I will take care of them. I will manage them. Sound like a good deal, guys? Enter Grandmaster 𝙁𝙗𝙗, the first Grandmaster of my island of Malta. But before coming to Malta, he had to run as fast as his legs can carry him just over here in Clerkenwell, because trouble was brewing on the horizon. To save the English lang from becoming cannon fodder in Calais, Grandmaster 𝙁𝙗𝙗 is personally one of my favorite Grandmasters. Veteran warrior, and he manages to keep his nerves of steel intact despite so many setbacks. He's the Grandmaster who sadly had to leave from Rhodes. He had to surrender Rhodes, although he wanted to go down fighting till the end. But he still keeps on soldiering. And apart from being a veteran warrior, he is both skilled with the sword as well as with the pen, which is crucial if he needs to save the Knights of St. John from Henry VIII. 𝙁𝙗𝙗, he swoops into London, stays here at Clerkenwell, he sweet talks Henry, he helps Henry and Weston kiss and make up without Weston having to pay that yearly tribute, and he seals the deal by also bestowing upon Henry, just like his father, the title of Protector of the Order. Wow! And Henry is so buzzed. He is buzzing, and this is where it gets even better. This is where we see the true potential of 𝙁𝙗𝙗. In the heat of the moment, while Henry's all happy, emotional, he manages to snag an even better deal. He convinces Henry to gift the knights something much needed. I, Henry, as protector of the order, I vow to gift you knights 20,000 crowns to help you knights take back Rhodes. Not bad for a day's work, which is why I admire so much 𝙁𝙗𝙗. He comes here like a hero and leaves like a hero. But here is the juicy twist, and why I am actually here in London, in Clerkenwell, researching for my Malta tour in 𝙬𝙤𝙤𝙤, all about the mighty Knights of St. John. Instead of money, Henry VIII, he gifts the knights an equal amount in bronze cannons, 19 to be precise, and many cannonballs. And you want to know the craziest part? One of these very bad boys, one of these cannons is right here in St. John's Museum. Come, follow me. And over here is one of those exact same bronze cannons gifted to the knights by Henry VIII that ended up on a world tour that would even make Taylor Swift jealous. From London to Syracuse to Malta to Tripoli to Cyprus and back home to Mummy to London. Many of these bronze cannons were deployed in the Knights of Malta's new fortress of Tripoli. Tripoli? Yes, Tripoli in North Africa, because part of the Malta package forced upon the Knights by the King of Spain was like, listen, you have to take Malta, but with Malta, I want you also to take over Tripoli. Which essentially is like literally marrying your partner and being forced to take in your own home, the mother-in-law. And as you can imagine, the Knights are not happy about this. But what can they do? It's like, take Malta and Tripoli or nothing. My tour, Dark Knights in 𝙬𝙤𝙅𝙬𝙅, Grandmasters of Mayhem, dives deep into the Tripoli episode, how the Knights lost Tripoli in 1551, which is why I'm here. I want to see exactly one of those cannons that was lost in Tripoli. This cannon was deployed in Tripoli. The Knights obviously lost Tripoli. The Ottomans captured everything they could, and obviously they're not going to waste good bronze cannon, so they take it with them. It's in their arsenal, and they use this exact cannon to besiege Famagusta in Cyprus, on the eastern side of Cyprus.
1571.
They capture Famagusta, and this cannon remains there for a very, very long time. Fast forward to 1906. Yes, 1906. And this cannon, which has the coat of arms of Henry VIII and Grandmaster 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤, was found at the bottom of the harbour during dredging operations. And here it is again, back to Mummy in London, where it was created. And here it is once again, proudly in front of you, in the Museum of the Order of St. John, exactly at St. John's Gate, Clerkenwell, London. After a whole 360 journey lasting more than 400 years, this bad boy came back home to Mummy, to lovely London, at its home.
Amazing museum, and only one word for you: visit. Visit St. John's Museum. Trust me, it's filled with treasures.
1887, eh? Once again, from the ashes, the Knights of St. John, they rise again and continue to do great service to others. As this long list of fine gentlemen over here tells you. You can see over here some of these fine people who actually lost their lives during both wars. The Knights of St. John are still highly active all over the world, helping those in need. Back to their roots as hospitalers and healers, taking care of those unfortunates. And as you can see, the order are still keeping their good work over here. St. John's Ambulance, just by St. John's Gate Museum. Talk about history being like a boomerang, eh? And speaking of which, in front of you is Grandmaster Pinto, one of my favorite Grandmasters for all the wrong reasons. And as for Henry VIII's relationship with the Knights of St. John, let's just say it's like the world's longest soap opera, but with more beheadings, obviously Henry, and don't worry, with much less annoying commercial breaks. Just pure, unfiltered mayhem as in all our tours. All will be revealed when I see you in Malta, as we connect from one island to the next, from lovely London, plundering our way all the way back to mighty, even though it's small, Malta. See you. Grazie. Sacha.